everyone, welcome to Headlines of the Day. This is 28th of February 2022 and we are back again with some of the major articles from the Hindu newspaper. Let's begin our today's discussion with the first article on page number 1 that talks about India is engaged with all the parties on Ukraine, says the Foreign Secretary. And similarly, there's another article on page number 6 which talks about a testing vote. So this article is about India abstaining from United Nations Security Council against Russia and what can be the possible repercussions. Some of the major highlights from this article you have to take are: what are India's role and response in resolving the Ukrainian conflict, India's place in regional geopolitics, and how Russia's invasion of Ukraine threatens the geopolitical order. Why did India abstain from United Nations Security Council resolution which called for condemning the Russian military action against Ukraine? How the war on Ukraine could have major implications for India's strategic calculus. What are the geopolitical options India can choose? All right, moving on page number 6, you'll find an article from GS3 in the section Science and Technology. And this article revolves around the National Science Day. It is a day to embody the true spirit of science. So what are the major highlights from this article? You have to know about the National Science Day. What is the share of Arabs, Indians, Japanese, and Chinese in the development of modern science? India's scientific achievements and why India is unable to break the mediocrity barrier, some other fundamental challenges, and what should be the possible way forward. All right, moving further on page number 7, you'll find an article from GS3 Environment section. It talks about plastic pollution, tackling the plastic problem. In this context, you have to consider some of the major highlights, which are: what is the present status of emissions of plastic waste into the aquatic ecosystem? The report of United Nations Environment Programme in this context. What is the social cost of plastic consumption? The potential problems linked to it, relevance of comprehensive policy measures against politics, and what can be the possible way forward. Moving further on page number 7 itself, you'll find an article from GS2 Polity and Governance section. So this article is about the governor-government standoff that has led to questions about need for constitutional post. And this is in context with the current Kerala scenario. So the article states, CPIM walks the tightrope. In this article, what you have to consider are the powers of a governor, what is the law on governor-state relations, what have been the friction points, and what reforms have been suggested. Let's move on to the next page, page number 8. From GS2 International Relations, you'll find an article that states DRDO Safran to develop engine for aircraft. It is about the IndiaFrance Deal to develop a 125 kilonewton engine for indigenous fighters. So from this article, you have to consider about the joint development of this engine for indigenous 5th generation advanced medium combat aircraft between India and France, and what are the bilateral relations between India and France. Moving further, on page number 11, let us take the last article of the day from GS2 International Relations section that talks about West unleashes swift bans, more harsh blows on Moscow. So this article revolves around the sanctions that are levied on Russia because of the Ukraine-Russia crisis. Some of the major highlights of the articles are: what are the US sanctions imposed on Russia, its impact on India, and what needs to be done in this context. Okay, so this is a wrap of today's edition of Headlines of the Day. For regular updates, you can follow us on our social media handles. And for more such videos, do stay tuned to the Next IAS YouTube channel.